Thank you for tuning in to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast, a no judgment zone podcast that covers lifestyle, entertainment, news, and sports. Even though KC doesn't watch sports, but these are minor details. By the way, he reads tarot cards too. Yes, I really mean it. He reads tarot cards too. And now, the host you've tuned in for, KC Phoenix.
Welcome to the Keeping It Real with KC podcast. I, of course, am your host, KC Phoenix, and I have another episode for you. Okay, wow. People have way too much time on their hands. I came across this article, and I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and read this right quick. So, I'm doing this episode, and we're just going to see where it goes. And if these thieves get caught, they're really going to have some time on their hands. But I digress. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. As for this, you know what? Some days I go through these news articles, and my listeners, you know I tell you all the time when I do these articles are true. And I ask myself, what is really going on planet Earth? I see why some people want to move to Mars. But whatever. Let's go ahead and get this started. Thieves steal an entire bridge, leave cops confused. You can't really blame the police for being weirded out over someone stealing a whole bridge. It's common knowledge that thieves will steal pretty much anything that's not nailed down. But last month, some crooks really overdid themselves. A bizarre theft has left the police in Akron, Ohio, scratching their heads. One or more enterprising thieves have made off with a bridge. Yes, an entire bridge. The walkway in question is the 58-foot pedestrian bridge that usually spans the Little Cuyahoga River in Akron's Middlebury Run Park. Due to a wetland restoration project, the bridge had been temporarily removed. The bridge was placed in a nearby field to wait for the completion of the restoration work. No one was keeping an eye on it, but then again, would you really expect someone to snatch a bridge? The cops sure didn't, but on November the 11th, they received a phone call informing them that the bridge was no longer there. Sure enough, when the police went to check on the bridge, it was long gone. A surprisingly easy job. Understandably, the cops are completely baffled that somebody would steal an entire bridge. I have not heard of anything that large, I'll bet it disassembled, but actually stolen. I can't think of anything comparable in my 22 years on the job, Police Lieutenant Michael Miller told News 5 of Cleveland. We know it will be met with mystery and questions. Who and how and why? All of those are unanswered. It ranks high on the list of mysteries, that's for sure, he added. It's kind of surprising that nobody noticed anything strange going on with the bridge. According to the police, the thieves didn't exactly steal the structure in one fell swoop. In the field are tracks of one or more trucks the thieves use to transport the bridge. Additionally, they came back several times to dismantle the bridge. The police say the crooks cleared the bushes around the area on November the 3rd. They then first took all the deck boards and later came back for the rest of the structure. However, Miller said that it was probably fairly easy for thieves to break the bridge apart. He likened its construction to oversized Lego blocks fastened to each other with bolts. It may not have been as complicated as we first thought. Essentially, the bridge is made of some sort of polymer, he explained. If you have any equipment, sockets, and things of that nature, it wouldn't have been very difficult at all to begin the process of disassembling that. What a worthless bridge. The cops at least have an idea of how the thieves pilfered the bridge, but the bigger question is why they did it. To be fair, it's not like the bridge is exactly cheap. The total value of the structure is somewhere around $40,000. It could be used for a variety of different things as simple as landscaping, or they could use it for some other engineering project, some other large-scale project, Miller mused. However, Miller believes that it's more likely that the thieves would try to sell the bridge components as scrap to a recycler. There's just one problem with that plan. The parts are practically worthless as scrap. The polymer material can't be easily repurposed or recycled. As a result, the amount of money the thieves would get for it is minuscule at best. Someone might mistakenly think there is a particular scrapping value of that particular material. Maybe they are mistaken and now they're stuck with, well, what do we do with it? Said Miller. As such, Miller doesn't think the thieves thought their crime out all that well. It went beyond impulsive, he summarized. Still, a crime is a crime, and the cops want to catch the bridge burglars. Bridge burglars. They're asking anyone who may have seen or heard something to report it to the police. Someone in the viewing area has access to some information that we need, and this is the whodunit, where we really need the community's help to point us in the right direction to find the people responsible for removing that bridge, Miller said. If you live in Akron and think you might have some valuable information, you can call the Akron police at 330-375-2490. Okay, let's unpack all of this. All right. I will say that, yeah, I honestly believe it was for scrap. I don't believe that anyone decided to steal a bridge and they're like, oh, this would look great in my backyard or something like that, especially a bridge that is 58 foot. Which with foot and feet, I don't know why people say that. I would want to say 58 feet, but I guess 58 foot is the technical or grammatic way to say it. Regardless, I just wonder sometimes, like, one thing I can't stand is a thief. I was talking about that during one of my episodes where I covered the story about the priest whose home was stolen by the fraudster that stole the priest identity, the UK priest and stuff. And that falls under thief category as well. And a thief runs me low. A thief runs me low. Now, as for why this group of people, because clearly it wasn't one person, felt they could get money out of this, I just don't. I feel like they just looked at it and was like, oh, we could probably get money for the parts. But they really never did an assessment of it. As in, usually with certain things, especially when it involves public stuff, public property. And by public, meaning things related to the local, state, or federal government. If you look hard enough, and even on private property too, because people may not know this. I used to work in real estate. For new listeners, my old listeners, my Firebirds, you already know I used to work in real estate. One thing people don't know is that you can find out a lot about someone's property simply by getting their parcel number for their property. All you have to do is go to the assessor's website and get it. And even if you don't have the parcel number, you can type in the address on certain websites and then still get the information. And it'll tell you things like how much the home was purchased for. There were even certain sites that would tell you who they got their, which bank they got their loan through, too, as well. So a lot of stuff is public information. And I know some people are like, okay, KC, where are you going with that? I'm about to tell you. You would think that the thief would have did a little research on a public structure, because the bridge was a public structure, and been like, okay, let me scour the internet. Let me see what this material is worth. Let me see what they did. How long ago did they build the bridge? What was the bridge built out of? All right, now let me go ahead and talk to my contacts. Okay, caveat, I'm not encouraging people to do this. I'm not encouraging people to do this. But let me talk to my contacts in the black market, because that's what it is. It's black market stuff. Because usually when you're taking something that you didn't acquire honestly, you have to go to someone that is not of an honest caliber and give it to them. Hence the black market contacts. So you're doing your research, and then you go to your black market contacts and you say, all right, apparently the bridge is made up of this. This is how old it is. If we take the bridge, these are the things. What can we get for it? And then if it's a true contact and they know the deal, then they're going to say, you're not going to get much for this. It probably wouldn't even be worth the heist. I leave the bridge there. That could be it on that part for stealing. Because again, if you're selling it for scraps, that would be the better thinking to do, is to see, map everything out first, set up just in. It's one of those things where, to make sure your contacts, again, I'm not advocating to do any of this stuff. I'm just telling you I'm thinking in their mindset. Make sure your contacts are trustworthy. And if anything comes back, you don't have to worry about them testifying against you in court. Now, what I believe happened, this is my intuition, my spidey sense going off. What I believe happened is that someone just wanted the scraps for themselves. Like a group of people, they noticed that the bridge was just sitting there. And they're like, nobody's really watching this bridge. We could use this for some other stuff and do that. And then the group of people were like, hey, that's not a bad idea. Okay, less stuff to buy at Home Depot, or less stuff to buy here, or less stuff to buy there. Because again, you're breaking it into parts. Not that it still can't be identified, but once it's broken up into parts, it makes it more difficult to identify. So my thought, my spidey sense, my intuition is saying, I honestly think the thieves wanted this for themselves. Something to use on either a farm or something of that nature. I honestly don't believe it's as sophisticated as, oh, we need to take this bridge and then we're going to take it to a contact or contacts and get money for it. I'm not picking up that energy. Just saying. But hey, what do I know? All right. I thought the story was interesting, so I'm giving it to my listeners. KIRWKC.com, main podcasting platform. This podcast is carried on Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Overcast, Bullhorn, Amazon Music, Audible, and several other podcasting platforms. Please feel free to listen to this podcast on whatever platform is most convenient for you. KIRWKC on all the social media platforms. Until next time, be blessed.